Hey guys, it's Doug McGuff with drmcguff.com. Today I'm going to give you a chalk talk on the preliminary considerations from the Super Slow Technical Manual. And today's t-shirt comes from Skylar Tanner. This is a Smart Strength in Austin, Texas. Skylar is one of the best trainers in the whole world. He was the youngest trainer to ever get Super Slow certified. And now he owns his own shop in Austin, Texas. So if you live in or around Austin, Texas, look up Skylar Tanner, go get trained by him, you'll have no better trainer. So what we're looking at here, this has been written on my board ever since November 3rd, 1997. The only thing is maybe number 9 or 10 got erased and written in again at some point. But I want to go through these. We go through these at the introductory session with each new client. And we'll go through them one by one. So number 1, learn super slow. And what that means for the client is initially I want all their focus to be on learning the super slow technique, not necessarily a strict 10-second up, 10-second down kind of form, but to get used to moving as slowly and as smoothly as possible without stops or starts, so that the exercise is as hard as possible and the muscle is continuously loaded so that we can invoke a rapid and deep state of fatigue. Number 2 is concentrate, and that's to inform the client that this sort of continuous loading and deep fatigue goes against every instinct in our body. And our body and our instinct will send us all sorts of messages to try to short circuit that process. And having an intellectual understanding of what we're trying to do and then concentrating on that will allow you to override those instincts so that we can get to the stimulus that we're after. Number 3 is breathe properly. And what that means is to open your mouth, let your jaw hang slack, and let your breathing come naturally as the set progresses. Most people think that what regulates and drives our breathing is our need for oxygen. But that's not true. What drives our rate and depth of breathing, or our minute ventilation, which is the rate times the volume, is the pH of our blood and the partial pressure of dissolved carbon dioxide in our blood. So that the lower the pH of our blood, the more we will ventilate to blow off carbon dioxide and raise that pH back up. That is why, as a set progresses, you will naturally start to breathe faster if you just let it come. And what that's doing is it's blowing off carbon dioxide to alkalinize your blood to offset the lactic acidosis which is occurring. What we don't want clients to do is to breath hold or Valsalva. When the exertion gets really tough and the weight feels really heavy, it's our natural instinct to want to hold our breath and push. Well, that does 2 things that aren't desirable in this circumstance. Number 1 is it can cause venous blood pressure to rise very high and trigger an exercise-induced headache. It can also trigger a fainting reflex. The other thing that it does is it actually undermines our attempt to try to deeply fatigue the muscle. Now, if you are powerlifting or Olympic weightlifting, you can make productive use of Valsalva because the breath holding increases intra-abdominal pressure and intramuscular pressure. And that actually provides an internal mechanical assist when you try to lift something heavy. But that internal mechanical assist during an exercise stimulus actually undermines and short circuits the inroading or fatiguing process, and we want to avoid that. No gum or candy. During the workout, we don't want anyone chewing gum or sucking on candy, because when you're doing this, it might go down your windpipe. Neutral position. What that is about is that when the client is training, we want them to have a neutral head and neck position, because any rotation at the neck creates a rotational force down the full length of the spine. And if you're under load with a pushing or pulling movement, that creates a torsional force that creates uneven forces on either side of the spine where you could tweak your back or cause an injury. So we enforce a neutral head position, which is quite simply if you take your fist, set it on the top of your sternum, and then drop your chin down until it touches the top of your fist, that is the neutral head position that we want you to be in when you're lifting, doing any movement. It hurts, in quotations. That's not to tell people that the exercise hurts. That is a trigger phrase that we teach our clients to say if they ever feel anything injurious happening. So if they feel a sharp pain in a joint or a pain in a muscle that feels like an injury rather than exertional discomfort, or if they get the sudden onset of a headache, we want them to simply tell us it hurts. When we hear those words, we terminate the set and evaluate what's going on. Number 7 is headache, and that is to briefly discuss the issue of exercise-induced headache. Over the years, I have truncated this to a very brief, almost inconsequential statement, because I found that when I made a more protracted explanation and drew out the warning more, I found more people tended to get exercise-induced headaches because of the suggestibility factor. Exercise-induced headache occurs when the venous blood is being milked upward by intense muscular contraction faster than the venous capacitance system can handle it. That causes a headward or cephalad flow of venous blood that can distend the venous sinuses in the brain and trigger a headache. It's not harmful, but it is a very severe sudden headache that can be confused or create an issue of confusion about whether this could be an aneurysmal leakage. More importantly, it's a headache that once triggered comes back very easily and you would rather avoid it. So we tell clients if ever while exercising they feel like they might be beginning to have an onset of a vague headache, to notify us immediately so that we can assess whether the set should continue. Number 8 is to dress cool. We like people to be in shorts and t-shirt. We keep it 61 degrees year-round and we have fans blowing. When you perform really intense muscular exertion, that generates a lot of heat. And the body has to dissipate that heat, and we like that to occur by conduction, which is the transfer of heat from your hot body into a cool surface, like the Naugahyde on the machines, or convection, which is from your hot skin into the cool air environment. By the time you have to resort to an evaporative heat loss mechanism, sweating, you're already losing the ability to contract your muscle efficiently, and you will fail prematurely before you've achieved as much inroad or fatigue as we would like. Number 9 says don't panic, and that is to remind people that when the exertion gets very severe, that they need to actually not run from that discomfort, but actually focus on it, try to run up on that discomfort and create more discomfort. Ken Hutchins likened this to seeing a mirage on a hot roadway in front of you. If you actually step on the accelerator and run up on the mirage, it will disappear. Same thing's true with exertional discomfort. What actually used to be here from the Super Slow Technical Manual was hydrate. And that was because people have become very used to carrying water bottles around with them when they're working out and exercising. And we wanted to let them know that that is unnecessary. No one's going to become dehydrated in 12 to 15 minutes. But we will impose 1 or 2 short water breaks during the course of a workout, mainly because the mouth becomes very dry from this breathing pattern, and 2, sometimes you just need a little respite between 1 or 2 movements to keep your wits about you. And that's what we discuss during the introductory sessions with all of our clients. Every so often, maybe every 12 weeks or so, we'll revisit this with clients just so that they don't let that extinguish from their head, especially if we see them start to commit any discrepancies in this regard. But that is the preliminary considerations. They came from Ken Hutchins' Super Slow Technical Manual, and we have been using those since November 3rd, 1997. So for drmcguff.com, Doug McGuff signing off. Thanks.